Welcome back to the second hour of the show with no name for November 2nd, 2012. I'm Bob Going with Jim Nikosha and Gavin Murdoch. I'm watching this on the monitor, so I'm not, he's on the opposite side, and it's not like looking in the mirror. Wow. Well, Jim, since last we met, you had a surprise birthday party for your 80th birthday. How'd that go?
It was terrific. It was a real surprise.
It's for everyone but us.
Yeah, we knew. Did you really? You knew about it.
Yeah.
I figured out the dinner, that they were going to take me to dinner.
Yeah.
But when we walked in the house, that was a complete surprise. With all the kids, all the grandchildren, except for Vinny, and my neighbors were there. It's 50 people.
There you go.
50 people.
There you go.
So,
Good deal to see.
And today's Elaine's birthday?
Today's Elaine's birthday. I take her out to lunch and dinner. If she wants. Well,
Someplace you've been already, right?
Yeah, because it's her 82nd, see, so, she's gone by
Married an
the...
older woman?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
How come she looks so much younger than you?
Well, that's because I take good care of her.
Happy birthday, Elaine. So you got a big surprise planned for her after that, all right?
No, I don't. No,
Okay.
I don't.
You're saving that for what?
I'm saving that for her 85th.
Okay. Now she knows, and it's not going to be a surprise.
She may not watch this.
Well. Okay. Last hour we spent on the county charter. I guess I'll throw this stuff out. We've talked enough about that. A lot of other stuff coming up.
Yeah. That was
Presidential election, and let's talk about some of the local stuff first. Well, first of all, let me say that the ads we've seen on TV over the last month or two have been so negative.
So negative.
They're horrific.
They're horrifically negative.
You have no idea what your guy is about because all you do is hear how bad the other person is and vice versa. You don't know.
Every mistake they may have made
Or didn't.
or didn't
Yeah.
are on top. I mean, how many times do you say something and you say, well, gee, maybe I shouldn't have said that,
or said it that way, or maybe you shouldn't have said it in that context when somebody can put it in a completely different context.
Exactly.
Like, for example, the Santa Barbara ad, or rather the anti-Quackenbush ad. It's all negative. I can't believe how much Sheldon Silver is spending to try to defeat Tom Quackenbush. Just because Tom Quackenbush said he thought we should investigate Sheldon Silver and the way the legislature is operating, all of a sudden,
payback, huh?
all of a sudden, it's got to be like $600,000, $1 million. I don't know, something like that.
That's a lot of money.
It's incredible. The ads are running like every 2 seconds, at least on
Back
cable.
to back they run.
Back to back.
They run.
And the whole, I mean, you don't have to be to follow this stuff very closely to know that that segment where Quackenbush is talking about raising the sales tax, he's talking about the legislature back then giving Montgomery County permission to raise the sales tax because the mandates have made it impossible to do anything except raise the property tax otherwise. That's what. And when he says, I don't know what to do, he's saying, you guys are binding me. So what he's saying is actually very good stuff.
The positive statement.
And they make it look like he's trying to raise the state sales tax.
And then he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, and then he doesn't know what he's doing, So decidedly, I got to say, I'm supporting Quackenbush anyway. But his has been like the only positive ad I've seen. His ad was excellent. It was all about him getting going in there, getting the job done. And it's great.
Yeah.
The Owens versus Doheny ad.
Oh.
Dear God in heaven! And my opponent is a millionaire crook. If you're the incumbent congressman and you're resorting to those kind of tactics, you must be in serious trouble. Yeah. Absolutely awful stuff. And I can't believe that somebody thinks that this is a great idea. Don't you know he's a millionaire? Well, to top it all, I got a robocall last night. By a PAC, I wish I could remember the name of it, Citizens for Good Government or some crazy thing like that. The Citizens for Good Government PAC.org
Yeah.
or whatever. It was an anti-Amador ad.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
I didn't get that
supposedly not Santa Barbara. Who's running it? That woman.
Cecilia.
Cecilia, whose name you can't
Kochek.
pronounce.
Kochek.
What is it?
Kochek.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, so it's not from her, supposedly. It's just from this good government
Yeah,
group.
right.
And so you get this nice woman's voice coming on, this is a call from the good government group, blah, 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 da, 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 da. And then you hear this voice, hi, I'm a rich millionaire Wall Street slug, and I love George Amador because he's in our back pocket here, we've got him on our payroll.
I got the call, but I didn't get that far. I hung up.
You
did
got
I.
to listen to
So
it.
did I.
It is just the most god-awful and amateurish, too. It's like, what?
Selden Shelter.
It's like unbelievable. So if I hadn't been inclined to vote for Amador before, that call absolutely made me inclined to vote for him because it was so thoroughly unfair and vicious and unprofessional. Yeah, if this is the best she can do is to come out with crap like that. Yeah, and I don't know. So I'm not impressed. And they're doing stuff against Gibson too. That's pretty vicious.
But they're just, all of them are just. You don't know anything about anybody because all you hear is garbage about the other person.
Right.
And it's not a whole lot different than it looks like the presidential election campaigning has gone over the last few
Yep.
days. It's
Yep.
just. If somebody would just get up there and explain what you're going to do for somebody,
That's
people
what
would
I
tell
would
them to
like to-
vote for you. You know why? Because you're saying something about what
That's
you
what
can
I
do
would like to hear.
without ever denigrating the other guy.
Especially incumbents going, and of course that's been the whole Obama campaign has been to tear down Romney because he can't run on his record.
Yeah.
I suppose if that's all you got, that's what you got.
Yes. You see the results of the early polling haven't been going the way that Obama.
No, they
That's what I
haven't.
thought
At least
it was
if you can believe what the polls of the polling are.
The last poll, they said he picked up 1 or 2 points. something
Well,
like that, yeah.
what you're seeing is that the early voting, as compared to 4 years ago, in the Obama counties is way down. And if you do the exit polling of the early voters, his percentage of the vote is way down from where it was 4 years ago. I think they said that if the voting had been done solely on the basis of who voted on election day, McCain would have won, or he would have won Ohio or something. Maybe he would have won everything
Yeah.
if it was just on the basis of the people who cast their vote on election day. But now there's so much early voting. Some of them vote a month ahead of time. But particularly in Ohio, which we're watching closely, Obama's vote is way down from 4 years ago. So I'm predicting not only a Romney win, but a fairly easy Romney win. Not easy, but
Not easy.
but
Close.
electorally impressive.
You do.
I do.
I think it's going to be close. It's not a racially. I still believe this is a racially charged election.
It is, but it's not as much as it was the last time.
The,
Because the last time there were a lot of people who said, you know what, it's a good thing for the country regardless.
Yes.
And it was.
And it shows that we are diversified.
Yeah.
But somebody emailed me a speech that President Obama made to a group of blacks. It was a black caucus of some kind. All the black people should vote for me.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
if Romney went on there and say all the white people should vote for me, what do you think would happen?
You'd probably get some bad press out of it.
A lot of bad press. A lot of.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that.
And-
But I guess what I'm saying is that as opposed to 4 years ago, we've gone that route now. Okay.
Now it's more on
That's right. Now it's
You know, one of the, I love Jonah Goldberg. He's a great writer. He's great on TV, and he answers my emails, and and he knows who I am when we bump into each other. So I'm a very great fan of Jonah Goldberg as a result of that. But Jonah can turn a phrase, and kind of. Maybe a year or two into the Obama administration, he wrote a column. I forget who it was. One of the columnists was given the usual. All the opposition to Obama is because he's black and blah blah blah, and ends their column with there are some people who still can't believe that a black man has been elected president of the United States. And Jonah quotes that and then adds, and you're one of them. You know, if this country is so racist, how did we elect a black man president of the United States?
Exactly.
Okay? And that's not to say that the country doesn't have its racial pockets.
Sure,
there's no question.
No doubt about it. There's
But-
no doubt about it.
Anybody who doesn't think we've come a long way since Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is living in a make-believe world.
Yeah, in a dream world.
A world made up.
A world made up.
Which is different.
And
I mean, look.
you know what? I understand people who went through that, how they feel about it. I completely understand.
Definitely.
95% of the black vote voting for Obama. I completely understand that. I remember 1960 when basically our parents were probably going to burn in hell if they didn't vote for Jack Kennedy. You know, to have the chance to elect a Catholic president.
Correct.
And isn't it interesting that really, when you look at it, you've got for a country that is ostensibly white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, you know, primarily. On the one side, you've got a practically non-denominational black man, certainly not white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, and to the extent that he's a Protestant, it's kind of, you know, one of those revolutionary sects or whatever, with a Catholic vice president. Running against a Mormon with a Catholic vice presidential candidate. There isn't a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant among the four of them.
That's right.
And you know what? It's not even an issue. And
No.
that is a good thing.
Yes.
It's a good
Well,
thing.
the Democrats tried to make it an issue when Romney was first running about his Mormonism. And,
They try to make that out.
Of course, only because they think that they can peel off the evangelical vote and make them stay home because he's a Mormon. And I think in the they're still trying to do that in the undercurrents. You know, putting out anti-Mormon tracts at these mega churches on Sunday under the windshield wipers. You know, but I have I have friends in the evangelical movement. You know, for this, you know, the Catholic Church is the most organized church in the world, probably structurally.
yeah.
Your evangelical Bible churches are the most unorganized.
That's right. They stand unto themselves.
Right. And yet, it's like they all talk to each other. And that when they want to, they can all move in the same direction and nobody even notices. And one of the places they do that is in Ohio, where they came out for Bush in 2004 when nobody was expecting them to. And all of a sudden, this votes come in from the rural areas, overwhelming numbers of people who didn't usually vote. Well, I got my people.
You got people?
I've got people with their ear to the ground, and that was a concern. Or I may have expressed it during the primary season that I was really worried that if Romney is the nominee, that there'd be that undercurrent of evangelical anti-Mormonism that would either keep people home or maybe even worse vote
the other way.
Vote the other way. Not going to happen. My people,
Your contact says.
my contacts say no. It's overwhelmingly they're voting for Romney in spite of the fact that he's a Mormon and what they think about Mormonism. because they want to save the country. And frankly,
Good for them.
in his personal life, he's as good a Christian as I've ever met or I've ever seen.
Yes.
Actually, I haven't met him, have I? Yeah, I've been in the same room with him. But, I wasn't impressed at the time. Boy, I'm impressed now. I tell you.
It'll be interesting to see what happens, and if we can get the people out,
Yep.
we can
The
get them to
enthusiasm.
realize, yeah, get the enthusiasm.
The
going.
enthusiasm level is so strong on our side and so weak on the other. I mean, who do you know that, for example, who voted for John McCain in the last election, who says they're voting for Obama this time? Who do you know who stayed home the last time, who says I'm voting for Obama this time? And yet, I think we can each tell a lot of people who are disappointed.
You know what? That's a good point. We're going to get the disappointed Obama voters.
Yeah.
And you're going to get the folks maybe didn't vote at all last time come and say, yeah, I should have, and I'm going to this time to make sure it doesn't happen again.
I mean, to this, at this point, it's largely anecdotal. Some of these polls are all over the map. I tend to trust Rasmussen as really having a good protocol for trying to get it accurate. But nothing's perfect these days. Only like 9% of the people who answer the phone even agree to participate in these polls. So who knows? Gallup is nearly every single national poll now is showing Romney with either a slim or getting larger lead. Maybe one or two might still have Obama with a tiny, less than a percentage point lead, depending on the protocols they use, I guess, or who they're calling. So we have to rely on the anecdotes, and one of them I saw today was Tennessee started early voting. Now Tennessee is not a swing state, and yet people were waiting in lines 100 deep to cast their votes in that election.
Wow.
For Romney.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I guess if I have a fear, it's going to be, he's going to get a lot of votes and he could win the popular poll, but lose in the electoral college. Because there's some places like you just say Tennessee, it's not a big state,
right.
it's not
Right.
an important one. He get a whole lot of more votes there than Obama, yet when it comes to the swing state, he could lose by a handful.
History has shown that when there is a split between the electoral college and the popular vote, it's usually when the popular vote is less than 1% difference. And I don't see that happening here. Well, let's go through some of the swing states, what they call the swings. In other words, states that went for Obama the last time that may go Republican this time. Florida, absolutely going to be Romney. North Carolina, Romney's so far ahead there that they're not even counting it anymore. They took the money, both sides took their money out of it. Virginia is going to go for Romney. Particularly after that Navy thing. Ohio,
and Pennsylvania.
If Romney carries Ohio, he wins the election, and he can win the election without Ohio. If he picks up Colorado, New Hampshire, and Wisconsin, or any of those other Midwestern states, I think he's going to win Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a place where we've got something a little bit more to work on because they've had like 5 statewide elections in the last 3 years, all of which went to the Republicans in a state that ordinarily isn't. So, yeah, I think. Plus, you've got Ryan on the ticket, which makes it all the more interesting. But the unions and the Democrat core threw everything they had into defeating Scott Walker for governor of Wisconsin, the recall and everything else. And he ends up getting like 53% of the vote in the recall last year. Or was it earlier this year? I forgot.
This year.
It was earlier this year.
So,
they did the same thing with the with the court race the year before. They tried to get take over the Supreme Court of Wisconsin so that they could win in the court what they couldn't win in the legislature. That failed. So it's hard to imagine how much more they could throw into that state that would make it change. I think Romney's going to carry Wisconsin, and Obama can't win without Wisconsin. I don't think. Colorado, all the polls have been showing Romney in the lead. He could pick up Nevada. That's close. One of the factors there is outside of Utah, I think they have more Mormons in Nevada than anywhere else, and that's and they split their ticket. They vote for Harry Reid, and they'll vote for Mitt Romney. You can't discount that. I'm feeling good, and Romney seems to be taking New Hampshire as well, and plus he's probably going to pick up that stray vote in Maine. And actually, there's no reason he shouldn't carry the whole state of Maine. Everybody talks about how blue a state Maine is, but they've got 2 Republican senators, a Republican governor, and a Republican legislature. So it's not impossible that a Republican president could win, right?
Yeah.
Or a Republican candidate for president. So I'm feeling good, and the fact that both parties are spending a lot of money in Pennsylvania now, I mean, all of a sudden what weren't swing states are in contention. Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. If that's where the fight is being held, Romney's in good shape. And he's not going to, if he takes Wisconsin, he's going to take Ohio. I see him taking all the ones I mentioned, maybe even picking up a Michigan, a Pennsylvania, or even a Minnesota.
Is there somebody that they've kind of checked off that we're going to take that you think Romney's going to lose, that he's going to get upset in?
Yeah, like a sure Romney state that might go in another direction. Well, if he loses Virginia, that takes a chunk out of the equation. And he actually only has to get 269 electoral votes to be elected president, whereas Obama would need 270 because if it goes into the House of Representatives, in other words, if it ends up a 269 tie, which is possible, there are several different ways that could happen. Not likely, but it's possible. If that happens, each state gets 1 vote in the House of Representatives. That's the way it works. So New York will have 1 vote, right, even though it is overwhelming. Yeah. Actually, either.
Now, who casts that 1 vote?
It's decided by a majority of the delegation. And if it's tied, there's no vote. And you just keep voting until you come up with a winner. Or, bizarrely, Joe Biden could be the acting president of the United States for the whole term if it goes into the Senate, and the Senate is controlled by the Democrats.
Somebody have to vote for one of those guys. Then.
As a matter of fact, it's possible that Romney could be elected president and Biden vice president if it goes into the Congress, because the Senate elects the vice president based on one man, 1 vote.
Ooh.
I think, or maybe they must do. I think they must do it that way as opposed to state delegations, because they're all even. Now, of course, then the other interesting factor, of course, is that the District of Columbia is left out altogether.
Oops. And so is Puerto Rico.
Well, Puerto Rico doesn't vote anyway.
He's trying to get them.
They don't get to vote for president. But the District of Columbia does by special
That's why
amendment
he
to the
wants to make it a state.
Constitution.
He wants to make it another state.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
So, I mean, it could get very interesting if it gets that close. I don't see it getting that close.
No.
I see, because I don't see the enthusiasm for Obama. I didn't even see it in Massachusetts when I was there. Yeah, he's going to carry Massachusetts, but you know,
You
Joseph Stalin could carry Massachusetts.
Do you think it's going to be a large national turnout?
Yeah, I do. I think it is going to be a large national
I
turnout.
think so. Larger
Because
than
I think
last.
people have been
And large in favor of Romney.
in favor of Romney because people who stayed home last time are coming out this time, and I think there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Just look at everybody's ignoring what happened 2 years ago, which was a Tea Party tsunami. All right, they took back the House of Representatives and nearly took back the Senate when they were down 60-40 in the Senate going into that.
But do they have the base and momentum going in this time that they're going to be able to rally their troops?
This who?
The Tea Party.
Oh yeah.
You think?
Oh yeah.
Because they've been given pretty short shrift.
They've
during
also
this time.
won every primary there was this year, or at least everyone where Sarah Palin. Did I just put orange juice in coffee?
Yes, you did. Orange flavored coffee. Orange flavored coffee. Nothing wrong with that.
Ooh, it's not bad. It's almost like a creamsicle.
Oh. There you go.
Okay.
Wow. Well, all right. We'll see what happens. We'll have to play this edition of it back Wednesday morning and see how accurate your
Oh sure, no.
prognostication was.
Oh no. If we play, if what I say doesn't come out, this whole section gets deleted. That's the advantage. That's the advantage of having control over the website. So watch it now, folks. Download it now before it disappears.
Your caretaker just left.
Yeah. So then we got, I think the Senate may very well, I think the Republicans are going to take the Senate. Maybe with 51, 52. Maybe even 53 if everything breaks in the right direction. One of the surprises there, I think, is going to be Connecticut, where the Republican who ran the last time is running even or ahead in the polls. And that would be remarkable.
What about Massachusetts?
And about Massachusetts.
You think?
Do I think Scott Brown's going to pull it off against Pocahontas? I do. Although that's a tougher call because he's not running in a special election this time. On the other hand, it's almost the equivalent of a special election, isn't it? Because in Massachusetts, it's not like anybody is going to be racing to the polls to vote in the presidential election because they think it's foregone.
That's right. So you're gonna.
Brown's people are for the most part enthusiastic. He's. Believe it or not, there's more independents than even Democrats in the state of Massachusetts, but there's like no Republicans.
I mean, the independents have to all vote
Yeah,
for
there's more independents than
Republicans.
Republicans or Democrats, but or it's close anyway. It's like 39-36 Republican, Democrat, and 12% Republican. It's crazy. It's not the. It's not the state, and yet that state elected 3 or 4 Republican governors in a row, up to the current one.
Well, New York City elected Republican governors.
Yes.
The state never goes
Right.
nationally Republican.
Right.
Now, what problems do you foresee with the voting in the areas that were bashed by Sandy, and what long-term ramification is that going to have for contesting whatever result you may get now to start with?
All election officials pray for a landslide. So that you don't get into those Florida situations. I was talking to Sam Zerlo yesterday. I don't remember if it was on the air or off the air. He says, when are we going to get rid of this electoral college? I said, I hope we never get rid of it. I said, can you imagine multiplying what happened in 3 counties in Florida by every election district in the United States if you have a close election? Holy mackerel. If you got to recount every single voting machine in every district in the United States of America to determine the president, and then you allow places like St. Louis, where more people vote than are registered to vote. How do you get around that? It would be total chaos, total chaos. I know they do that in other countries, but
Well, there are other countries. They got.
yeah, look what France got. God. So yeah, I'm against. I would be against it. But as far as a storm, I guess they've already made.
Well, they got
They've already arranged for portable trucks to be going out in New Jersey and election trucks to.
election tax.
But
You got the governors are now praising Obama because he.
How about this?
He visited the
sort of a change of subject. It's still about the storm. New Jersey's devastated. Power out, millions of people. This power crew comes up from a power company in Alabama to help restore power. They're thrown out of New Jersey because they're non-union.
way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
So they went up to Long Island. At least as stupid as New York is, they're not that stupid. Can you imagine that?
Oh.
I mean, they're mobilizing crews from. There's caravans coming from every state in the country to come help out here, and nope. Sorry, you're non-union. You can't work.
Oh.
To think they would even ask the question is just so absurd under the circumstances.
Wow.
My son has been in California for a couple of weeks, and my daughter-in-law went home to stay with her parents, primarily, so she wouldn't be alone, but also because they have to park on the street in Queens, and there are a lot of trees on the street.
Yeah.
And Bob says, "Get that car to Long Island." So they were out of power for like 5 days. I think they may still be
Some of them are still
out on Long Island. But Jenna comes back a couple of days ago to check out the apartment. And here's this big tree right across the street, and it fell. You know how tightly you pack cars in New York?
Yeah.
It fell within this much of a car on either side, and it went right between the cars. May have caused some damage to the two cars, but it looked like it was right smack in the middle, right, and it's so close that their apartment building is in the picture. Yeah.
You know, people forget though too down there. It's taken 100 years to create all this infrastructure they have. It's not going to come back in one day. It doesn't matter how many people you got working on it.
Right.
It's going to be time. And we saw that when we lived up north in Sable when they had the big ice storm up there.
Oh yeah.
You know,
were you up there then?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We were out. We were over a week where we were without power. School was closed for 2 weeks because of that, and there was teachers who lived in parts that took a month to restore it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
Here, I mean, you've got, the density is so much different, but it took forever for these things to be built. And you gotta, you don't know where the break is.
Right.
And it's 2 hours per pole down there. It was on this morning.
Yeah,
it
so
takes
that-
2 hours to take a pole down and 2 hours to put a new one up. So it's a long process.
And there's only one line going into every village. Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. I mean, you look at the transportation down there with the subway system, how that's going to have been affected.
They don't even know what
tunnels,
damage the salt water's doing to the electrical systems down there.
And the tunnels that are.
By the way, what are the? Well, I don't know. I found this amusing, but there was like a couple of dozen $100,000 electric cars in Newark or someplace waiting on the dock or being unloaded from the dock. A couple of dozen of them short-circuited and caught fire. $100,000 electric cars, green cars.
Wow.
Can you imagine spending $100,000 on a battery-operated car?
Long time to recover your investment.
Yeah, like never. Especially if you get salt water on it, apparently.
And then the people who have generators down there are having problems now because they can't get gas to keep the generators going.
Yeah.
It's a real sad situation, but
it is amazing, however, how good some of those crews can be. And I'm thinking back to 9/11. One of those buildings falls on the main New York telephone switching center for Lower Manhattan, controls everything, all right, including Wall Street. Everything for Wall Street goes through the switching center, and its switching center is destroyed. And in 4 days, they managed to reroute every single line and get things going. And they did this by running cables through buildings, across Florida, out the other window and stuff like that, till they could then get under the street and do it the other way. But they that they would even have enough to show which blue line goes into. We're talking like hundreds of thousands of connections had to be reconnected, and they did it in like 4 days. And Wall Street is back up and operating. Just flabbergasted.
People are in time of need. Unfortunately, there's so many people get so critical of everything. You know, I know you're part of the Red Cross. They got bashed last night in that. We haven't seen anybody there.
It just happened.
You can't even get there.
You can't get there and come in and do it. You just can't.
That woman was screaming.
She was.
Red Cross set up. I can't even begin to tell you how many shelters they set up in our area, up and down the Hudson Valley. There were 3 in Montgomery County that were set up and not used.
Yes, they were.
They were prepared. All over Long Island, but it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. The number of people that needed the shelters was. Now, how about this? 2 huge generators that could be used to pump water out of subways, for example.
Our city.
Provide electricity to people who don't have it in Staten Island, for example, are being used to keep the New York Marathon open.
I heard that. I said,
Now,
wow.
what?
Now that's
What?
Yeah.
And Kevin Madison
That-
pointed
to me,
out on
that's
Facebook
criminal.
this morning, which I didn't know. See, you got to read Kevin Madison from the Recorder. They're keeping the Giants game
Yes, they are.
at the Meadowlands this Sunday, I guess.
Yeah.
What? There's no gasoline in New Jersey.
I thought it was being moved.
Well,
No,
as
I
of this
saw
morning,
it was-
as of this
well, Met-
morning,
Met-
they were
MetLife
planning on
Stadium.
having it, which is
Yeah.
crazy, absolutely crazy.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah, a lot of people depend on the income from it. This and the vendors and this. Yeah, but there's a freaking state of emergency
Who's
there.
gonna be able to get
People
there?
are lined up for all day to get what little gasoline there is in the few stations that are open.
Just to get a gallon to run
Right.
the generator.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're cycling in gasoline out of cars to run the generators. Now, come on, you're going to overburden every infrastructure in New Jersey because of, not to mention keeping the lights on and everything else.
Absolutely, especially you got half of Manhattan, no power down there. You know, it's just, you know, sometimes that priorities really are distorted, and you really get to see how distorted they are when something like this happens.
Anyway, I'm a big fan of the Red Cross, as you know, and I don't like to see them getting slammed.
Yeah, they got a pretty good bash there.
Yeah.
You know, they're prepared, but people can't even get to the places where they were able to prepare for it, because they didn't prepare and put them in the middle of the zone,
All right.
because they were smart enough to realize this is going to be an issue, problem area.
Well, you know, this is it's, you know, and this was a minor disaster. This is a
Relatively, yeah.
relatively. I can imagine that worse scenarios than this for New York City and Long Island.
Well, if New York City got hit directly by a hurricane, like a real hurricane, like Katrina, holy mackerel!
Yeah.
Because this was pretty bad. The water just poured into the subways.
You know, you can't get in, you can't get out.
You know, maybe they ought to figure out a way to put emergency things like they have in the submarine and just screw the tops on, right?
Yeah. Just,
Well, I heard.
Because I guess it ran right down the stairs.
yeah, it did.
I read somewhere that if they took out the railroad between here and Buffalo, New York City is completely isolated. That most of the traveling into New York City is through
this pass
corridor.
Yeah.
That there would be a real disaster down there.
And it's hard because New York has become such a employment center, and people don't live there. they live elsewhere, and these
Yeah.
people can't get in
Right.
to go
Yeah.
go in to do their jobs. So there's no transportation, and the people who live there, go miles for their jobs within the city itself, and they can't get there.
Dave Petrucci and I were going to go to, had planned to go to New York on Wednesday this week, and on the megabus, and they were just canceled. And I said, "Do they give you, another set of tickets?" He says, "No, they just give me my $6 back."
Your processing fee. Oh,
And that's $6 for 2 tickets.
well, it's free.
It was like $3 a ticket. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
Round trip.
Wow.
Round trip.
Wow.
And you get it right. Oh yeah, sometimes I spent one time. What did we? What's it cost to ride the subway in New York now? $2, $2.50, $2.50, I think. I spent less to get to. Yeah, it was a total of $2.25 because I paid half the transaction cost. We split. It's a 50-cent transaction fee. You can get unlimited number of tickets theoretically, I guess, but it's 50 cents a transaction fee. So we paid $1 each way, which is the minimum.
Yeah.
So it was $4.50 for 2 of us to go to New York and back, which worked out to $2.25 a piece. And it cost $2.50 to go one subway stop in New York, and I got from Albany to New York and back for $2.25. Plus, I had to pay $5 to park the car, and I think it's up to $6, but still.
No big shakes.
It's incredible. We went to Washington one time, and it cost less than it would have cost to park the car one night at the hotel we stayed at. So anyway, we were going to go down, and they just canceled it. So instead of getting 2 more tickets, he got his $6 credited to his credit card or whatever.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. That would have been nice. But it's so cheap. You can go if you catch one of those when they're that cheap, and even when they're expensive, they're not that bad. It's still
cheaper than driving.
It's a lot cheaper than driving. Yeah,
A lot fewer headaches.
You better believe it. You just get to Rensselaer, hop on the bus, and spend the day. Wednesday, particularly, you go down, see a show, come back, have dinner. No, maybe not dinner, but
Depends if the restaurants are open.
yeah, lunch anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went down. We had lunch at 21. I think that was $1.25 or $2.25 trip. You spend a $2.25. Having lunch at 21 is. And even we got a deal on that. On top of that, that wasn't even that expensive. It was like $20 or something. It was fabulous.
Something good locally.
What's that?
Is tomorrow is.
Yes.
Dedication of the Veterans Memorial.
At long last.
We finally have the stone. It's going to be unveiling tomorrow. We got a little ceremony up there.
That'll be Saturday, November the 3rd
at 10:30.
10:30 at Veterans Field in front of the pavilion.
Yeah, with the official Sam Piper will be playing as
great.
well. Rob Van Haslin, I think, is the master of ceremonies, and they'll have a few people making some speeches about veterans and the memorial they're putting up there. So it's been a good time in coming there. I'm glad they're finally getting it get it put up. And I hope we get half as many people as we got to the Halloween parade. It'd be nice to get a nice group of people up there tomorrow morning. We won't be throwing candy or anything, but still, it'd be nice to get some people.
Why don't you say they are going to throw candy, then they'll get a crowd.
But then I'd be accused of something if it didn't really happen. Not being in.
Why don't you say somebody else told you that? Why don't you say Tom DeMezza told you?
Tom DeMezza will actually be throwing candy himself there. Not that there's ever a candy bar he's ever missed, but
bring a bag of candy and just
I don't think he wouldn't give that much away. He likes that.
So that's not, of course, it's in advance of Veterans Day, but that's good because Veterans Day has got other stuff planned for
another
it.
part of the city.
And this monument's been a few years in the works, and they had to raise a lot of money for it.
Yeah, they did. And then next Saturday in the town of Florida, they're dedicating their Veterans Park.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Where's that going to be?
Down by the town hall in the town of Florida. It's going to be down there. I think that's at 10 o'clock.
Dunlap Road or somewhere in there?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Anna did a 10K out that way a
She did.
few weeks ago. Yeah.
how's your running coming?
Let's see. I have
You're in
not.
a recovery phase?
Yeah, I have not run since I did the 5K in Broad Alban. Of course, I was ill for a week after that. So
Okay, your turkey track coming up.
I got the turkey trot coming up, and I've been studying the route on Google Maps, and I think I can handle it. It's very, very flat. There's no,
Speed course.
I was going to say about the 10K that they said, well, there's this hill up here. You have to go up and come down, and she gets to this, and she's like all by herself practically. There are not that many people doing the 10K. Most of them are doing the 5K, which is a different route, and they've actually got tape in the roads with arrows that tell you which direction to go in. It's still there, last I looked. So she goes up this hill and says, well, okay, there's a house on top. This is not too bad. That wasn't the hill. The hill was Bean Hill, the highest point in Montgomery County. And she gets to that, and it's just up and up and up and up and up and up, and then they turn around at the top and come back down.
It's still not a good trade-off. It's just,
Whoa. Oh, it
going
was
up
great
takes
up there.
more.
It was terrific.
Going the uphill takes more out of you than you recover coming downhill.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now I haven't done much training since then, but I'm feeling good again. I'm ready to get back out there. I got a couple of weeks I got about 3 weeks till Thanksgiving, 4 maybe, I forget.
3.5.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm going to do it. The kids are doing it. Jamie won't be home, but the others will. I think Bob and John are both running. Anna's running. Louisa will be running, probably with me in the back.
Well, making sure everybody up ahead is safe. That's all. It's important to be back there.
Hey, that's, George Burns used to get a standing ovation every time he came out on stage, and he says, "I think you're applauding because of the fact that I'm walking at all."
Yeah.
So, all right. So the veterans thing, that'll be good. The veterans monument.
Yeah, and we were talking last week about your ghostly experience that you had a week or so ago up at Green Hill Cemetery.
Yeah.
And when I spoke to Rob last night, they had 60 people came through the first night, which is
Right.
what their
Right.
their
In the
goal-
rain.
in the rain. In the rain. That's what their goal was, and they were hoping to get about 90 the second night. They had 150 the second night.
Oh, it was packed.
So
We put on an
200
extra run.
200
Yeah.
people came through, and he said they were ecstatic how it was, and he wanted to let you know how many people spoke of your performance in there, particularly with the recitation of the Gettysburg Address in there, and you had a lot of good comments as to the other ones, but he particularly wanted to point out to you that
It's always good to have good material. That's what I say. Every once in a while, people will compliment me on my reading in church. I say, "Oh, I got a good script." What do you want? Yeah.
But they he said it was good. They're thinking of
Thanks, St. Paul.
what they're going to do next year with some different characters up there.
Yeah.
But he said it could be an annual event. But he
Well, there's a lot to work with, even in that small
a lot of
small
better
area,
people in there to choose from.
and
history.
with interesting pasts.
Which is,
I forget how it happened, but as I said, Green Hill, that Civil War monument at Green Hill was the central place on Memorial Day.
used to be.
It used to be, and somewhere along the line, I think it got dropped altogether. I don't think anybody does anything there anymore.
Well, there were a few years in which there was nothing going on in the city
At
for
all.
Memorial Day
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. Well,
But we got Veterans Day coming up next weekend, next Sunday, and I'll be putting my usual
now the
Veterans Day memorial posting up on Facebook about the pittance of time.
what?
Pittance of time.
Oh yes,
tune.
yes.
And I think that really sums up a whole lot in that one.
Yep, yep. That's the thing within the supermarket.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
That's wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful. That was a British too, wasn't it?
Canadian.
Canadian.
Canadian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's the next Sunday.
Now the parade will be on Monday the 12th, right?
I think you're right on it. I think it's on the 12th.
Yeah.
Though I haven't heard anything on that, so I don't know.
Well, maybe we'll find out tomorrow. Maybe they haven't put it together yet. Well, Misha must be playing, isn't he?
No,
he's not doing this one?
No, because he's got he's doing Palatine, the Trinity Lutheran Church in Palatine Bridge. He's playing for Veterans Day up there, and got to book
can't
early.
be everywhere.
Got to book early.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, will there be more Amsterdam medals being given out this Veterans Day?
You know, when I spoke to Bob last night, I neglected to ask him that. That's
I think in the paper.
Our World War II veteran.
You know, I got yesterday was I deliberately put up stuff about all the Amsterdam guys who died in World War II on my blog, so that people in the future who would be searching on the web would come to it. And yesterday, somebody from Oregon or someplace sent me a photograph of one of the Amsterdam dead in good condition. You know, nice photograph. A guy who was killed in one of the submarines. That was in my book, and they're dedicating some memorial out in the West Coast, and I guess the family had moved out there or something, and they wanted me to have that, which was pretty neat. And stuff like that pops up fairly often, actually, and that's how my book gets better.
Yeah.
Especially with better pictures and better stories. And
the rest of the story, two of 11:58 or
okay.
2 before noon.
All right, so we're doing fine. We started after 12. Yeah, so we got a couple of minutes. So, anything else?
If people are in the western part of the county tonight, they can go to Kansas Area High School and see the Lions Club talent show up there.
Oh yeah,
there'll be a pipe up there.
I've been to that show a couple of times, and it's quite good. Usually, quite a good show.
We got a piper this year.
I think our Irish dancers were in that program a couple of times.
Yeah, they do a nice job up there.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful school.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah. It is. Nice auditorium.
Yeah, it is. Good auditorium.
The Scotia Glenville auditorium is pretty nice too.
Oh.
The Scotia Glenville.
Scotia Glenville, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real nice one down there. Been down there a few times. You know, that's for a lot of schools. That's very central to their whole program, because they have their drama productions, their bands play there, community resources come in there and use it, and it's good to present that in a very positive light and have something people can feel good about. People like stuff.
Now, let's see. You had a special meeting of the school board this week?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
What was the purpose of that?
The purpose was to have the board approve the teacher evaluation system that was negotiated between the district and the Amsterdam Teachers Association.
And that's one of the things that's kind of required by the state and federal government?
That's one of the things that was required this year by the state, is for some of the monies that we're getting, and that Cuomo really pushed to change that. And it was it's a huge document. There's a lot of T's and I's that have to be taken care of in there, as far as the process and the appeals and the standards that are there, what part of the evaluation is going to be associated with student testing and assessments and things. So it's been, we're finished with it. There's
now, does this have to be approved by the state?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does, and it's about a 3-month turnaround. So we got ours basically in time to the state, but there's 200 and some school districts that have not even turned theirs in yet, and they haven't finished negotiating. They have to negotiate with the local teacher association. And it's going to be, and since there's money attached, if they're not in and they're not approved by a certain date, there's a high chance that some of your state funding is going to be taken away.
Then maybe you'll get all the stuff that the other districts didn't get.
You don't get the extra.
You don't think it works that way?
I don't think so.
And we had to.
You know what'll happen? They'll give everybody else a waiver who couldn't get it in on
Well,
time.
that
Yeah.
maybe.
But you did your job.
We did our job. The teachers did their
Now
job.
that
we did
couldn't
ours.
have been an easy thing to throw together.
No, it wasn't because it's
Because they had to get permission from NISA to even talk to you, probably.
Yeah, they did, and they wanted to put that as part of the teacher's contract, but we said we don't need something.
By the way,
to
they
go
have one of the
something
most extravagant looking headquarters I've ever seen.
NISA?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
oh yeah, it's beautiful.
That's a lot of your dues went into that over the years, huh?
A lot of people's dues went in that over the years. Yeah,
That was like the Taj Mahal.
because we play soccer right behind there at Aframs, and so we go by there every weekend and go down and play soccer, and it's
That's a big
quite an
facility.
edifice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I think I would, if I built a facility like that, I would have put the name of it in really tiny letters way in the back. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe a big number for the building and nothing
As
else.
opposed to the name of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
We got that approved in the Senate, so that was big to do. Because it took a lot of hours.
all right.
To
All
make
right.
sure it was done.
All right, let's run through the state senate race. Amador,
Amador.
Amador.
is that an endorsement? Who do you think's going to win? I guess we'll
Yeah,
tell them.
I think he's going to win. I'm not necessarily endorsing him.
Well, given
I am-
that
I am.
call I got last night, I'm endorsing him. Yeah. What else? Then we got Quackenbush, Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
Quackenbush.
I'm voting for Quackenbush, endorsing Quackenbush, and I hope he wins because the other side should not be rewarded for that. Although I will give Mr. Santa Barbara credit. He came up my driveway. He's like the fourth candidate ever
Yeah.
in the 30 years I've been in this house who made it up George Street to.
I
You don't count. You're my friend.
I came up with
You come every week.
No, before
Before we were friends. Yeah,
That's
well, I
right.
voted for you.
That's right.
How about Congress?
Congress, well, that seems to be a sleeper.
Tonko or Dietrich?
Tonko wins.
Tonko wins, but I don't endorse
Dietrich
him.
hasn't done anything, has he? I'm voting for Dietrich, but
Me too,
not at all impressed with his campaign, which seemed to be virtually non-existent.
Well, at least not this part anyway.
Yeah.
There's nothing up here. It's going to be.
Never met the man. He might have been in the Halloween parade. I don't know.
I think he was. I think somebody told me he was.
Yeah, well,
Supreme Court.
then he should have worn a big. I think the 4 Republicans win the Supreme Court race, and I think Katina and Seiss finish on top.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
It's hard for a Democrat to win unless you're Barry Kramer and you're running one guy against 4 Republicans. Yeah.
We win locally. How come we can't win the bloody state?
Well, because upstate New York is substantially different from the bulk of the state.
Oh, New York. That's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
Paris.
Yeah, cut New York City off. Let 4 of the 5 boroughs go out to sea. You got a different.
Well, they almost went out to sea. The sea
almost
almost
went
came
out
to
to sea.
them.
Sea came to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what happened? But then they would all moved upstate to get away from the flood. So where would we be anyway? Yeah.
We want them up
It'd be
here.
like all those rats fleeing the subway tunnel. You got to go someplace. I guess if I ever run for statewide office, this couple minutes are going to come back to haunt me.
We can edit it and you'll sound good.
Anyway, do we miss anything? I think that's about it.
Gillibrand Long.
Phil Cortez is running unopposed for family court, and I think Jed is running this year, isn't he?
Yeah.
Jed is running for
I
DA.
don't think I even see any seats signed.
Well, well, they're both unopposed. So
Somebody will notice when they go.
I mean, I saw Phil a couple of weeks ago. He did not look worn out from the campaign. God bless. Trust me, that's the worst elected job in the county. I don't care what it
Family
pays.
court.
Yeah.
Get tough cases. Every case is tough there.
It's an awful job.
Family court's tough.
Yeah.
Awful job. Anyway, speaking as someone who knows, I guess next week we'll come back and take back everything we said here.
Or say, you heard it here first.
Or say we heard it here first. The great prognosticators. Jim DeKosha, Gavin Murdoch, I'm Bob Going, and we'll be back next week with more of the show with no name.